G'day. In this video, might actually end up being a series of videos, I'm going to do a bit of an intro to all of the open source software which is available in the chess world. I think we're very familiar with a number of these programs. I mean, there's Stockfish, which I guess is regarded as the leading open source engine at the moment. You've got Skid versus PC and ChessX, both very useful GUIs which compete with the sort of ChessBase in that space. There's Lichess, open source website, and a few other ones like Stockfish and Table Aces, which are very useful. People use them a lot, and whole point is they're free and they're open source. Now, I'm not going to really be showing how to use these programs. I mean, most people would be familiar with it anyway. But what I want to try and do is go beyond just using the program to play against the computer or analyze positions or use it a database or use it for training. The point here is that because they're open source, you can download the source code, you can compile it and build them yourselves, so then you'll have your own executable. You can change some of the features or change some of the settings, and just doing that process, you probably learn a lot more about computers and programming, but also chess. So to help your understanding, improve your understanding of the way, for instance, Stockfish. How does Stockfish analyze positions? Nowadays, it's using a neural network. So that's my objective with these videos. Today, I'm just going to sort of get the ball rolling. I found it easier myself to build these under the Linux operating system. Now, not to scare people off, but there is software, VirtualBox, we'll go through that. Basically, you can run Linux within Windows, very easily, and then you can then download, execute the source software for these different programs, and build them. Now, a couple of things to think about as I do this video. We'll probably get through Linux and hopefully Stockfish in the first one. I want to keep these videos short because I end up making mistakes as I go along, and that'll be much easier. So, first thing to do is to get Linux up and running on Windows. So I'll just switch over here to screen I'm capturing here. Now, to get the most out of this, it'd be good if you know a little bit of operating systems and a little bit about programming. I mean, that will certainly help as we go along. So on the screen capture here, you can see what I've got running. We'll do it in a sec. I've got VirtualBox Manager running. I'll go through that in a bit on the top right-hand side. And I'm going to close this, probably delete it actually. You can see here is actually, this is like a window within Windows. This is all within Windows, and that is Linux running. And you just sort of click in here, log in, just looks like any Windows. And you can see the GUI in Linux is a lot like Windows, but anyway, you can sort of go like File Explorer if you like, Firefox if you want that one. So, okay, what do I do? Good. So that's what you're able to do using VirtualBox. You end up running Linux within Windows, and that's what I'll be using. It's not the only way you can do it. You could obviously, have a Linux machine, right? Have booted bare metal on Linux. The Windows system for Linux, WSL, I haven't used it, but obviously that's certainly another way of running Linux. So, okay, what I'm going to do here is I'll just close this running out machine. I'll delete this. I'll completely delete that. I mean, this is the whole thing about it. I've been running a virtual machine, and now I can just remove it. Remove all the files. It's gone. Right, I'm going to leave those two. They're actually the virtual boxes I use on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so let's have a look what we need to do. We need to go to the VirtualBox website. I'm not going to go through this step by step. VirtualBox, you download it, you install it, you run it. I'll leave that to you guys. And then when you run it, you should actually have VirtualBox Manager. So you run VirtualBox, and that's a program in itself. And it's within that, it supervises these virtual machines, which you then run. They're like sandboxes, right? So you can install Windows in VirtualBox. It's whatever operating system you like. So what we'll do now is, having got VirtualBox running, you want to create one. So this is a very simple process. Let's just go through step by step. We'll go File. Where will we find it? Add or New. Don't know which. Click New. Right. Create a virtual machine. Name an operating system. Okay, so I was calling this ChessNix, just for lack of anything else. It's a Chess Unix thing. And this folder is just where it saves it on your Windows machine, right? That makes sense. Got to be saved it somewhere. Now, one step you've got to do before you do this is you need to have to download the operating system you're going to use. Now, I choose Ubuntu or Ubuntu. I don't know how you pronounce it. You go to the Ubuntu, the official website. Just to step you through that process. Ubuntu will look like this. Download for free. And there you go. Now, if you actually just, yeah, that's fine. So download it. It'll take a little while, and you'll end up with a .iso file. Same thing if you're doing Windows. You want to do Windows, you download it, and you get a .iso, and that's sort of a disk image which the VirtualBox can use to install the software. Now I downloaded this before, so I just go to download, select image back over here, and you can see I've got 2 versions of it which I've downloaded before. I've got the latest one, 2404. The rest of it's fine. Let's just go next. See how it proceeds. Can't overwrite machine folder. Okay, so let me put 1 in here. It looks like it didn't delete the folder. So now here is where, just like with Windows, if you're logging into Linux, you'll need a username. This is like a local username. It's not connected like a Microsoft one is. So I was using chess.root, obviously, and then actually it looks like, even though I fill this page in, it makes me type this thing in later. But let's just, you put a password in. Should probably click guest editions. Just depends. That's some extra features which helps with mouses integration, all that sort of stuff. It seems to work without it nowadays, but it's probably better to install it. So we'll just keep going with installing our Linux. Now, this is where the VirtualBox, which is your program running in Windows, is able to allocate how much resources to give to the virtual machine you're running. Now, you know, RAM's cheap. You know, you might give it 16 gig or something, right? You can change these later. And the CPUs, I normally give it access to half of my CPUs. There's an older processor I got here, a 5900X, but you know, if you give it 12 threads, effectively 12 threads, then that'll be good for, you know, using Stockfish and all that sort of stuff, right? Okay, just keep going through this process. Now you've got to create a virtual disk. What I do is normally about 100 gig is plenty. This is quite clever. It only uses up the space that's needed. So the file will be very small until you start installing lots of programs, and it'll still be very small. Now, once again, these virtual hard disk, RAM, and CPUs, you can change these settings later. And you know, RAM and storage space are cheap, so you know, doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so that's just the settings, and now it's ready to go. If we another window, let's see, another window pops up. Let's see what it does. So this is, it's running it. Try or install Ubuntu. Just do the try, or because first of all you run it, and then you'll have to reboot to actually sort of make it stay there permanently. You can see this is creating the VirtualBox, running it, and then it's going to look a lot like a Windows setup in a while, where it sort of choose your keyboard, choose your time zone, and so on. And then after we've done that, it'll take like 10 or 15 minutes to chunder away in the background. So I'll probably cut the video at that stage and come back when we're ready to go. Just move that there so we can see the full thing. Okay. So I think we'll choose English next. I don't know what that one's about. Whichever keyboard you have. Now this actually, what happens with VirtualBox provides the internet resource to the virtual machines you're running within it. So it actually, on my machine, it is a Wi-Fi connection, but from the virtual machine's perspective, it's effectively wired. Okay, this is what I'm saying. You click install Ubuntu. I'll do interactive so I can just see a little bit what's going on. Even though there's default selection. Right, so the default selection comes with that screen I was showing you earlier. It's got Firefox, a few other things. If you want open office type stuff, then you'd click extended selection. But I'm creating this VirtualBox purely for having chess software installed. So I'm going to just stick with the default selection. I usually click that because sometimes the graphics drivers in the base aren't so good. So we'll just click that one. After we've clicked a few more of these, erase disk, so that's basically erase disk, erase the virtual disk, not your actual disk, so that's fine. And once again, it's sort of a bit annoying. I have to type this in again, so we get that again. And then we just put our password in. I use a short password because this is just not that sensitive. And if you don't put a short password in now, it's quite difficult to do it later. Okay, we're in Australia. Okay, install. And now I think we will go away for a while. Okay, we're back. After about 10 or 15 minutes, it looks like that Ubuntu wants to restart now. So let's just click that and be moving on. See how this works. Just like a restart in Windows, updating a few things. Shouldn't take too long this time around, so we'll just wait. If I'm wrong, I'll cut the video. And you can see one thing I learned, this is the second time I've done this video, one thing I learned is by actually having a second screen here, just a second display. In OBS, capturing a second display works really well. When I was doing it before, capturing windows, all these windows popping up is a bit difficult for me to manage, so just something I learned in this process. So here we go. Let's see. There we have it. We have our VirtualBox running and our virtual machine running Ubuntu. Complete your setup with additional settings. Okay, let's see what they're going to ask for here. I'm going to skip for now. I mean, there's a few things with Ubuntu. Obviously, it's open source. So for home users, you don't particularly need Ubuntu Pro, but at the end of the day, there might be some extra features you can get if you have Ubuntu Pro. But we are going to ignore that. You make your own decision on this about whether you want to share data. Obviously, you never do it with Windows, and it's probably best choose what you like. Okay, so here we have it. Ubuntu is running. I'll just check one thing. Well, that's fine. I mean, the screen size is fine for now. And this is back where I showed you earlier, right? You can run Firefox. We'll skip this step. It's the first time you're running it, so there's lots of crap to go through. Okay, finally we get to start browsing. Okay, right, good. So we are ready to roll. So now it's running. What I want to do now is let's get Stockfish up and running. Right, so step one to getting Stockfish up and running is we need to download the source code. Right, now, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to flick into, oh, it's not actually there. The GUI in different versions of Linux, a little bit different. This one, we click down Show Apps, and I'm going to go into Terminal. First of all, I'm going to pin that to the dashboard, so it sits over there. And I'm going to turn. So I'm going to do a lot of stuff now in Terminal. It's a bit like using the command prompt in Windows. In fact, it's probably command prompt in Windows, probably based off Terminal. So just normal, like there's my home directory. Print working directory. It shows you home chess.ru. That's where we are on the file system. I'm just going to make a directory, mkdir chess, and we'll change directory into there. Obviously there's nothing in there, and that's where I'm going to put everything. Right, so as I said, we need to get the source code for Stockfish. Okay, so how do we go about that? We're going to get it from GitHub. So I mean, generally Git and GitHub are used kind of interchangeably. Git is the sort of versioning control system for software. So obviously there's quite a few contributors, many contributors, hard workers, who make Stockfish what it is, and they contribute online, and Git sort of manages, who's doing changes to which file and all that sort of stuff, right? So Git is a software which manages it, and the repository itself is stored on the GitHub website. So the way to get to that is we've got Stockfish. This is a Stockfish website, stockfish.org or stockfishchess.org. And if you download, which you can definitely do, download it, you get the version of software, you run it. That's what most people do. But let's actually view it on GitHub, which is where the source code is stored. Okay, here we go. We're laughing, right? Now, what you want to do is this URL, https github.com official stockfish is what we're going to need. But we need the software Git. We need Git so we can do this, right? So let us get Git downloaded. It's a bit like going to Microsoft Store or something, but all of these software they're sort of online repositories that you reach out to and get the files. So I think it should be sudo, which means super user. It's like the administrator level on Windows. Sudo apt install git. And okay, it asks me for my password. Type that in, and it says it's found it. And do uninstall it. So you've got to do capital Y in there. That'll do for us. So now we have Git, right? And that's excellent. So the command we're going to run is git clone, which actually gets a copy of it, and then what? That's not. It should copying that's a Windows window. Copying from a Windows window using the clipboard should actually work into the VirtualBox, but it's not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Firefox within VirtualBox. Which should, sorry, just here. Yeah, there it is. So this time I can definitely copy it, and then I go across to my terminal and I paste it in there. There it is. Enter. Cloning Stockfish. Good. Now do ls, same as dir. So we've got Stockfish, and you can cd in Stockfish. Cd stock, tab auto completes, and then you can see GitHub just stores all the files, right? So you can see some files there, readmes, all that sort of stuff, right? And the actual file, if you do ls src for source, that's where most of the source code resides. And then you can see some subdirectories there for the NNUE, that's for the neural network. And if you have them, I don't believe this download does, you put your table bases in the SYZYGY folder. Okay, so we now have the source code, right? So the next step is we want to compile it, right? So the only problem with that is that the base version of Ubuntu or whatever, it does not come with all the compilers and linkers and so on downloaded. So that's what we have to do next. So let's just do, there should be one command. I'll just cd back there. It doesn't really matter what. Sudo apt install build essential. That should give us everything we need. The compiler, the make, the linker. Let's see if that's going to work for me. Yep. So GCC, that's the GNU C compiler, G++. You can see all these things. It's just downloading a lot of files, right? Didn't take too long. So now let's give that a shot. So if we go cd back into Stockfish and then cd into src, let's have a look at that. Right, now I'm just going to type make in with no thing, and actually I believe that tells me, yeah, okay, so that went past too fast to see, but it tells you how to build the different versions of Stockfish. Now it's all about what functions and features your CPU has. The latest versions of CPUs have this AVX NNI 512-bit instructions and so on. My processor doesn't have that, but there's one version, one that's not showing there, which you just go make you can see the options: make, -J, ignore profile build, -build. Let's do, make the screen a bit wider actually, better. Let's just say we don't know what our machine has. We just do, this is the x86-64 instruction set, which is the whole, Intel, AMD, everybody has that, right? Oh, okay. Now that when you're actually making it, you can see this is when it goes and grabs the neural net files. This is quite an interesting feature. In the old days, you used to have the evaluation function, which would say, oh, king safety, material balance, pawn structure, all that sort of stuff, and make up a number. When the neural networks are basically doing the same thing now, having looked at presumably billions of chess positions. So that's something which, as we go along, I want to investigate a bit more exactly how the neural networks are constructed and how they assess it. What it means is the evaluation function is more costly than it used to be. So I think you're doing less nodes per second than you used to, but you're getting more out of it because the evaluation function is better. Okay, so that's done, right? We're just talking there. So now we've got a file there called Stockfish, right? And if you go just Stockfish, we run it. It's running, right? As simple as that. Now, of course, Stockfish doesn't do very much at the end of the day. Can we say he's ready? Yeah, it's ready. And the normal way it works is your GUI, we'll look at it later, not today, SKID or ChessX or ChessBase, they will link in with Stockfish, give it the position, ask it to analyze to what depth, and Stockfish will give the answer back. Okay, that's all good. However, I did find a couple of little useful things you could do with the Stockfish, just to sort of this command line argument. What I'm going to do is, because because I've got another one running over here. Just one second, let me find it, see if I can find it. Okay, here I've got Stockfish running. See, that's a Windows window. This is a Windows Stockfish. So, I've got just the old Windows execution here. Actually, what I might do is I might just close this. Yeah, you can see what I did here earlier. Is ready, whatever. I put a fan in. So this is the sort of thing. You could put a position fan. I just typed that in, or paste it in there. And this is the Octopus Night Game, which that's quite interesting. Put the Octopus Night Game. And if you type in eval, there's a command. Like at the moment, if I put eval, it probably doesn't have a position, probably doesn't know what to do. Oh, it's just the starting position. So type in eval. This is within the VirtualBox. A bit confusing. Tells you, oh, look, rook's worth 5, black queen's worth 10, white queen's worth 8. A bit weird, some of the valuations, right? But look at the Windows one for a second. I put in Octopus Knight position. So here's Kasparov's knight on d3, and you can see it's worth -5. Obviously, black pieces are minus numbers, and white pieces are plus numbers. So it's kind of interesting. The overall position, it doesn't really evaluate in Gary's favor, but it actually saying a knight on d3, the Octopus Knight is worth 5 rather than 3 points, which I was quite curious. And then the bishop holding it was also worth 5 points rather than 4 points or 3 points. So the static evaluation of the neural net actually comes up with some kind of interesting numbers. And there was another position I was very curious about. Let me just go through these steps. So what I've got to do is, we just go. So we're just like Stockfish is just waiting for you to do something. Position fan. Now your eval. Yeah, so this is the famous Capablanca Tartakower game where you had the black pawn shielded white's king, and white's king ran around and ran up and ended up, well, rook and king or whatever, ended up winning the game. And you can see that the Stockfish neural network is clever enough to realize this pawn is actually worth negative value in a sense. It's a black pawn, it should be -1, but it's actually +0.47. So it really shows you that shield which Capablanca had really had some value. Right, so I think what I'll do is I will wrap it up there. I've done what I wanted to do, showed you how to get VirtualBox running, how to get a Linux virtual machine running within that, and then how to download Stockfish itself from GitHub and then get it compiled and running, right? Okay, so thanks for watching. Next time we'll move on to SKID versus PC, so we can have a look at a GUI and might have a bit more of a tinker around with some of the files on Stockfish. Thank you.